Oregon, a state renowned for its lush forests, rugged coastlines, and misty mountain ranges, hides darker secrets beneath its natural beauty. Among these are places where the air seems heavier, the shadows linger just a little longer, and the past refuses to stay buried, locations steeped in tragedy, despair, and whispers of the supernatural. Welcome back to our haunted storytelling series, where we delve into the eerie unknown, and today, we explore episode 12, The Most Haunted Places in Oregon. These sites are not merely abandoned buildings or forgotten landmarks. They are thresholds between worlds, where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. From crumbling asylums to desolate lighthouses, each location carries its own chilling history, etched into its walls by the suffering of those who once called it home, or prison. These stories have been passed down through generations, whispered around campfires, and shared in hushed tones by locals who know better than to dismiss them as mere folklore. In this episode, we'll peel back the layers of Oregon's haunted legacy, uncovering tales of unspeakable sorrow, unexplained phenomena, and encounters that defy logic. We'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses who have experienced the inexplicable, delve into historical records that paint a grim picture of these places' operations, and examine evidence collected by paranormal teams brave enough to spend nights within their decaying confines. Every creaking floorboard, every flicker of light, and every disembodied whisper tells a story, one that continues to resonate long after the last living soul has departed. As you settle in for this journey, prepare yourself for an exploration of both the seen and the unseen. This isn't just another ghost story, it's a descent into a world where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and where the spirits of those left behind refuse to fade into oblivion. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and let us guide you through the haunting legacies of Oregon's most infamous locations. Are you ready to face what lies beyond the veil? The Waverly Hills Sanatorium of Oregon, a legacy of suffering nestled deep within the dense forests of southern Oregon, lies a place shrouded in darkness and despair. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Originally constructed in the early 20th century as a tuberculosis treatment facility, this sprawling complex quickly became synonymous with pain, isolation, and death. Modeled after its infamous namesake in Kentucky, the Oregon iteration of Waverly Hills served as a beacon of hope during a time when tuberculosis ravaged communities across America. Yet, beneath its grand architecture and purported mission of healing lay a sinister underbelly, a labyrinth of suffering that would leave an indelible mark on all who entered its doors. From the moment patients arrived at Waverly Hills, they were stripped of their autonomy. Admissions procedures were cold and clinical, reducing individuals to case numbers rather than human beings. Families were often separated upon arrival, with loved ones relegated to gender-segregated wards or, worse, quarantined indefinitely due to the highly contagious nature of the disease. For many, stepping foot inside the sanatorium meant severing ties with the outside world, their only companions the sterile white walls and the ever-present specter of mortality. Life, or perhaps more accurately, survival, at Waverly Hills was a daily battle against both illness and institutional neglect. Overcrowding was rampant, with beds crammed into narrow dormitories designed to house far fewer occupants. Patients frequently shared mattresses, blankets, and even utensils, creating ideal conditions for the spread of infection. Basic necessities such as clean water, adequate food, and proper sanitation were inconsistent at best, leading to outbreaks of secondary illnesses like typhoid fever and dysentery. Those too weak to care for themselves were left to languish in filth, their pleas for help ignored by overworked staff. Medical practices at Waverly Hills further compounded the suffering endured by its patients. At a time when antibiotics had yet to be discovered, treatments for tuberculosis relied heavily on experimental and often barbaric methods. Pneumothorax therapy, which involved collapsing a patient's lung to rest it, was performed without anesthesia, leaving victims writhing in agony. Heliotherapy, or sun-lamp exposure, subjected already frail bodies to blistering heat, while thoracoplasty, a procedure involving the removal of ribs to reduce lung volume, left survivors permanently disfigured. Many patients died on the operating table, their bodies hastily disposed of in unmarked graves scattered throughout the surrounding woods. Tragically, death was not always the result of medical intervention gone wrong. Allegations of abuse and neglect plagued Waverly Hills throughout its operational years, painting a grim picture of life behind closed doors. Former employees have spoken of nurses withholding medication to punish unruly patients, orderlies physically assaulting those who resisted confinement, and doctors deliberately withholding diagnoses to maintain control. One particularly harrowing account involves a young mother admitted with her infant son, both diagnosed with advanced stages of tuberculosis. When the child succumbed to the disease, his body was reportedly incinerated without notifying the grieving mother, who was told he had been transferred to another facility. She never saw him again. Perhaps the darkest chapter in Waverly Hills history revolves around rumors of unauthorized experiments conducted under the guise of medical research. Hidden laboratories in the basement allegedly housed projects aimed at developing vaccines and treatments using live subjects. Testimonies from former staff members describe seeing patients injected with mysterious substances, subjected to extreme temperatures, or isolated in pitch-black rooms for weeks on end. Some claim these experiments continued long after ethical standards evolved, driven by greed and ambition rather than genuine scientific inquiry. By the mid-20th century, public outcry over the atrocities committed at Waverly Hills led to investigations by state authorities. What they uncovered was horrifying: rooms filled with rusted restraints, medical equipment encrusted with dried blood, and files documenting cases of systemic corruption. The facility was officially shut down in 1967, but its closure did little to silence the horrors that unfolded within. Locals reported strange occurrences near the property: lights flickering in upper windows despite no electricity being supplied, disembodied cries echoing through the trees, and shadowy figures wandering aimlessly along deserted corridors. Over time, Waverly Hills earned its reputation as one of Oregon's most haunted places, a title it holds to this day. Today, standing amidst the ruins of this once thriving institution, one cannot help but feel the weight of its tragic past. Every cracked tile, every peeling wall, tells a story of suffering endured and lives lost. As we move deeper into our investigation, remember that the ghosts haunting these halls are not mere figments of imagination. They are echoes of real people whose pain continues to reverberate through time. And if you listen closely, you may just hear their pleas for justice still lingering in the shadows. The ghost light of Yaquina Head Lighthouse, a beacon of despair perched on a jagged cliff overlooking the tumultuous Pacific Ocean, Yaquina Head Lighthouse stands as one of Oregon's most iconic, and eerily unsettling, landmarks. Built in 1873 to guide mariners through the treacherous waters of Newport's coastline, this towering structure has long been associated with maritime tragedies, unexplained phenomena, and spectral sightings that defy rational explanation. Known colloquially as the Ghost Light, the lighthouse harbors a dark history that intertwines human suffering with supernatural lore, making it a magnet for those drawn to the mysteries of the unknown. The origins of the lighthouse's haunted reputation can be traced back to its earliest days of operation. Records indicate that several keepers assigned to maintain its beacon met untimely deaths under mysterious circumstances. One of the first documented incidents occurred in 1885, when keeper Thomas Hargrove disappeared without a trace during a violent storm. His body was never recovered, though local fishermen claimed to see a figure resembling Hargrove wandering the cliffs at night, clutching a lantern as though searching for something, or someone, lost to the sea. Others swore they heard faint cries carried by the wind, pleading for rescue from the churning waves below. Another chilling tale centers around Margaret O'Connell, the wife of keeper James O'Connell, who served at Yaquina Head from 1904 to 1912. According to oral histories passed down by descendants, Margaret fell victim to severe depression exacerbated by the isolation of lighthouse life. On a fateful evening in 1909, she vanished from the premises, leaving behind only a cryptic note reading, "The light calls to me." Days later, her body washed ashore miles away, her hands clutching fragments of glass from the lighthouse lens. To this day, visitors report seeing a translucent woman clad in Victorian attire standing atop the tower, gazing mournfully toward the horizon. Her presence is often accompanied by the sound of breaking glass and the scent of salt water permeating the air. Paranormal activity at Yaquina Head extends beyond individual apparitions, encompassing a range of inexplicable phenomena that have baffled investigators and skeptics alike. Tourists exploring the grounds frequently describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread near the base of the lighthouse. One of the most enduring legends tied to the lighthouse involves the so-called phantom ship, a spectral vessel said to appear during foggy nights. Fishermen and sailors have reported seeing a ghostly schooner materialize out of the mist, its sails tattered and crewless, drifting silently toward the rocks. Attempts to radio or hail the ship invariably fail, as it vanishes without a trace moments before impact. Local lore attributes this phenomenon to the wreck of the Mary D. Hume, a cargo ship that ran aground near Yaquina Head in 1892, claiming the lives of all aboard. Witnesses claim to hear phantom bells tolling in the distance, reminiscent of the ship's final distress signals, while others describe seeing shadowy figures leaping from the vessel into the icy waters below. Modern-day paranormal teams investigating the lighthouse have captured compelling evidence supporting its haunted status. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops concentrated near the lantern room, accompanied by inexplicable EMF spikes. Audio recordings picked up during overnight sessions include fragmented phrases like, "help them," and "turn back," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. Perhaps the most disturbing discovery came when a team member accidentally activated an old foghorn system, triggering a cacophony of wails that echoed through the structure for hours, despite efforts to shut it off. Despite, or perhaps because of, its ominous reputation, Yaquina Head Lighthouse remains a popular destination for tourists eager to test their courage against the unknown. Its breathtaking views and rich history attract thousands annually, yet many depart shaken, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. For those brave enough to step inside, the promise of encountering its tormented spirits adds an element of both fascination and dread. Yet, as each new visitor ascends the spiral staircase leading to the lantern room, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to confront the consequences of centuries of maritime tragedy, or will they become another chapter in the lighthouse's macabre legacy? The Shanghai Tunnels of Portland, shadows beneath the city. Beneath the bustling streets of Portland, Oregon, lies a network of subterranean passageways known as the Shanghai Tunnels, a hidden underworld steeped in secrecy, crime, and supernatural intrigue. Originally constructed in the mid-19th century to facilitate the transport of goods between warehouses and docks, these tunnels soon became conduits for far darker activities. By the late 1800s, they had transformed into a clandestine hub for human trafficking, illegal gambling, and other illicit enterprises, earning them the moniker Portland Underground. Today, the tunnels remain one of Oregon's most haunted places, their damp, dimly lit corridors teeming with restless spirits and unresolved mysteries. The term, Shanghaiing, refers to the practice of kidnapping unsuspecting individuals, often sailors, laborers, or even tourists, and forcing them onto ships bound for distant ports. This grim trade flourished in Portland during the height of the city's maritime industry, with countless victims disappearing into the labyrinthine tunnels never to be seen again. Saloon owners, corrupt officials, and criminal syndicates collaborated to lure men into underground bars, where drugged drinks rendered them unconscious. Once incapacitated, they were dragged through trapdoors into the tunnels below, shackled, and sold to ship captains desperate for crew members. Historical accounts estimate that thousands fell victim to this sinister scheme, their fates sealed in the bowels of the earth. One of the most notorious figures associated with the Shanghai tunnels is Miss Scarlet, a madam who operated a brothel above what is now known as the Merchant Hotel. Rumored to have been complicit in the Shanghaiing racket, Miss Scarlet allegedly used her establishment as a front for luring wealthy clients into the tunnels, where they were robbed, beaten, or worse. Witnesses claim to have seen her ghostly figure prowling the passageways, her crimson dress trailing behind her like streaks of blood. Paranormal investigators exploring the site report hearing faint laughter followed by guttural screams, as though reliving the horrors inflicted upon her victims. Another spine-chilling tale involves the cage room, a cramped chamber located deep within the tunnel system. Here, captives awaited their fate, chained to rusted iron bars embedded in the walls. Survivors of the Shanghaiing era described the room as suffocatingly small, with barely enough space to sit upright. Modern-day explorers recount feelings of claustrophobia and panic upon entering, despite the absence of physical restraints. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled in corners, their faces obscured by darkness, while others report hearing muffled sobs and frantic pounding against the walls, as though pleading for release. The tunnels also harbor remnants of illegal gambling dens and opium dens, relics of an era when vice thrived unchecked beneath the city. Visitors exploring these areas describe sudden drops in temperature, accompanied by the unmistakable smell of smoke and the clinking of coins. EVP recordings captured during investigations include fragmented phrases like, "Place your bets," and "Roll the dice," interspersed with agonized cries. One particularly unnerving encounter involved a group of urban explorers who swore they saw a man in a vintage suit sitting at a card table, his face pale and expressionless, before vanishing into thin air. Perhaps the most pervasive presence in the tunnels belongs to the countless unnamed souls who perished within their confines. Many died from starvation, dehydration, or injuries sustained during escape attempts, their bodies dumped into unmarked graves scattered throughout the underground maze. Witnesses described seeing ghostly apparitions wandering aimlessly, their translucent forms clad in tattered clothing reminiscent of the 19th century. Others claimed to feel icy fingers brushing against their skin or hear disembodied footsteps trailing behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Despite, or perhaps because of, its malevolent reputation, the Shanghai Tunnels continue to draw curious souls eager to confront their haunted legacy. Guided tours offer glimpses into the dark history of Portland's underground, while paranormal investigators armed with cameras, recorders, and EMF detectors delve deeper into its mysteries. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The whispering woods of Silver Falls State Park, echoes of the unseen deep within the heart of Oregon's lush wilderness, lies Silver Falls State Park, a breathtaking expanse of cascading waterfalls, verdant forests, and serene hiking trails. Yet, beneath its tranquil surface lies a darker secret, a section of woodland known locally as the Whispering Woods, where visitors have reported unexplained phenomena that defy logic and challenge the boundaries of reality. This haunting enclave, shrouded in mist and mystery, serves as a stark reminder that nature itself can harbor forces beyond human comprehension. Legends surrounding the Whispering Woods date back centuries, rooted in Native American folklore and early settler accounts. According to indigenous tribes who once inhabited the region, the area was considered sacred ground, home to spirits both benevolent and malevolent. Elders spoke of an ancient curse placed upon the land after a rogue warrior violated tribal law, unleashing vengeful entities that preyed upon trespassers. Early pioneers who ventured into the woods recounted hearing faint whispers carried by the wind, as though unseen voices were communicating in languages long forgotten. Some claimed to see shadowy figures darting between trees, their movements jerky and unnatural, while others described feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as if the forest itself conspired to keep them trapped. Modern-day encounters with the supernatural abound in the Whispering Woods, drawing thrill-seekers and skeptics alike to its enigmatic embrace. Hikers traversing the park's lesser-known trails often report sudden changes in atmosphere, temperature plunges, eerie silences replacing birdsong, and thick fog rolling in without warning. One particularly chilling phenomenon involves the sensation of being watched, despite the absence of any visible presence. Many describe turning to find nothing but empty forest behind them, yet unable to shake the feeling of eyes boring into their backs. Others claim to hear footsteps crunching leaves nearby, only to discover no one else on the trail. Photographic evidence adds another layer of intrigue to the Whispering Woods' haunted reputation. Numerous visitors have captured inexplicable anomalies in their photos, ranging from orbs of light hovering near waterfalls to ghostly figures standing motionless among the trees. In one widely circulated image, a translucent woman draped in flowing fabric appears to float above a rocky streambed, her hollow eyes fixed on the camera lens. Investigators analyzing the photograph noted subtle distortions in the surrounding landscape, suggesting the presence of an intelligent entity capable of manipulating its environment. Patterns across Oregon's haunted places, threads of tragedy and mystery when examining Oregon's most haunted locations, from the desolate corridors of Waverly Hills Sanatorium to the shadowy depths of the Shanghai Tunnels and the eerie solitude of Yaquina Head Lighthouse. Striking similarities emerge that transcend individual histories and geographies. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. Together, they weave a tapestry of spectral intrigue that binds these disparate sites into a haunting sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments at Waverly Hills, the Shanghaied souls trapped in Portland's underground, or the maritime tragedies etched into the cliffs of Yaquina Head, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture and environment in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic structures, with their labyrinthine layouts, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These features act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or cliffs where ships met their doom. The Whispering Woods of Silver Falls State Park exemplify this principle, using its natural terrain to disorient and ensnare visitors, much like the architectural designs of man-made haunts. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. Similarly, the dense fog and shifting mists of the Whispering Woods obscure visibility, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each haunted location's narrative is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of Waverly Hills contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends of Yaquina Head. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere settings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment or landmark boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why Oregon's haunted places captivate us? What is it about Oregon's haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and spectral apparitions lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These locations, whether man-made structures or natural landscapes, tap into primal instincts and cultural anxieties, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of history, environment, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, safety and danger, certainty and chaos. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted location feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, lighthouse, or forest as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, environmental degradation, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the unknown. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours, paranormal investigations, and urban exploration attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of Oregon's haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls or wander their shadowed paths, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through Oregon's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of Oregon's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken locations offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all. But isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural, Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.